I believe the Bible is the Word of God, absolutely. And I try to live by it as well as I can, but I miss in a lot of ways. But it's a guide for my life and for hundreds of millions, billions of people around the world. I believe in the Bible.
Does that mean you believe every word?
Yeah, I believe it's the Word of God. The Bible is the Word of God. I mean, I might interpret the word differently than you interpret the word, but I read the Bible, and I believe the Bible is the Word of God. I don't disagree with the Bible. I try and live by it.
For the next generation of retirees, we should slowly raise the retirement age. And finally,
this really is a battle for the soul of America.
They win the battle. Okay, now here's what the Book of Mormon says as I remember it. Okay, and that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. The word liberty was put on a flag according to the Book of Mormon. Now, I don't know how they did that. I don't know if it was, I want to get my, I don't have the Liberty flag, but I want to show you what a flag, it usually has a pole, and, they had a flag on the prairie there that said Liberty. Well, that's the myth and the tradition of the Mormon Church. So the word liberty has more than the meaning that you think it has. Liberty means we fight to the death. We always win. And here's the catcher. Not one of the strapling warriors was killed or wounded in a major battle. So liberty to the Mormons means jihad. Jihad. We don't strap bombs on guys, but, we send them out.
affairs of government from any religion, but I will not separate us from the God who gave us liberty. And a steadfast commitment to liberty. They're not unique to any. We believe that every single human being is a child of God. Americans acknowledge that liberty is a gift of God, not an indulgence of government. No people and the Perhaps we forget the long and arduous path our nation's forebears took to achieve it. They came here from England to seek freedom of religion, but upon finding it for themselves, they at first denied it to others. Because of their diverse beliefs, Anne Hutchinson was exiled from Massachusetts Bay. Roger Williams founded Rhode Island. And 2 centuries later, Brigham Young set out for the West. Americans were unable to accommodate their commitment to their own faith with an appreciation for the convictions of others to different faiths. In this, they were very much like those of the European nations they'd left. It was in Philadelphia that our founding fathers defined a revolutionary vision of liberty grounded on self-evident truths. We cherish these sacred rights and secure them in our constitutional order. Foremost, but as a matter of right. There will be no established church, and we are guaranteed the free exercise of our religion. I'm not sure that we fully appreciate the profound implications of our tradition of religious liberty. I visited many of the
And the latest CBS News poll says 40% of Republican primary voters say that most people they know would not vote for a Mormon. How much do those kinds of numbers concern you?
Not at all.
Why not?
Because they don't mean a hill of beans worth of difference.
But voters...
magnificent cathedrals in Europe are so inspired, so grand, and so empty. Raised up over generations long ago, so many of the cathedrals now stand as the postcard backdrop to societies just too busy or too enlightened to venture inside and kneel in prayer. The establishment of state religions in Europe did no favor to Europe's churches. And though you will find many people of strong faith there, the churches themselves seem to be withering away. Infinitely worse is the other extreme, the creed of conversion by conquest, violent jihad, murder as martyrdom, killing Christians. Jews and Muslims with equal indifference. These radical Islamists do their preaching not by reason or example, but in the coercion of minds and the shedding of blood. We face no greater danger today than theocratic tyranny and the boundless suffering these states and groups could inflict if given the chance. The diversity of our cultural expression and the vibrancy of our religious dialogue has kept America. And in that spirit, let us give thanks to the divine author of liberty, and together let us
president and endure everything that goes along with that.
I've had the experience. I have the love of the country. I have the values that I think America shares, and so I believe I can make a real difference.
6 sons, all of whom, like their father, went on Mormon missions. Romney was a Mormon bishop and helped build a Mormon church. And the latest
position on homosexuality being a sin.
You know, that's something that you can take up with the church. I'm not a I'm not a spokesman for my church.
But don't you know?
I'm not a spokesman for my church, and one thing I'm not going to do in running for president is become a spokesman for my church or apply a religious test which simply is forbidden by the Constitution. I'm not going there. So I can tell you, if you want to learn more about my church, talk to my church. If you want to learn what I would do as president...
Let me ask you then, yeah. Do you personally think homosexuality is a sin?
Nice try, but I'm not going to get into...
That's a valid question, isn't it?
It's a valid
that I added one state police class after another. We have the largest state police in the history of our state.
The super committee has failed to apparently find a way to bridge a gap and to become fiscally responsible in cutting federal spending. And what's most disappointing about that is that our president has had no involvement with the process. The penalty, if that fiscal sanity is not found, of a $600 billion cut to our military, I would have anticipated that the President of the United States would have spent every day and many nights working with members of the super committee to try and find a way to bridge the gap. But instead, he's been out doing other things. This would be a doomsday scenario if these cuts go forward. Now, the world has not become more safe. It's become more dangerous. Russia is acting in a more belligerent way with their neighbors and former satellites. China makes friends with some of the most unsavory characters in the world, whether in Burma, Myanmar, whether in Sudan, North Korea. China seems to be gathering a union of totalitarian states of some kind. The world is dangerous. In a setting like this is no time for the United States of America to withdraw its commitment to a powerful and strong military. And a doomsday scenario for our military is not the right course, given where the world is headed.